I'm just, I'm sometimes amazed at how much socialists just love Jews. National socialists, international socialists, they all have that one thing in common. Boy, do they love themselves some Jews. And Bill de Blasio is no different. It started where he put a series of tweets out. Let me just give you this super classic. My message to the Jewish community and all other communities is this simple. The time for warnings is past. I've instructed the NYPD to proceed immediately to summons or even arrest those who gather in large groups. This is about stopping this disease and saving lives, period. So you damn Jews have just got to stop gathering. Now, he's already had a problem with the Jewish community. If you remember way back, 2 weeks ago, when he said that they were going to lose their synagogues permanently. I didn't know a mayor could do that, but he did. As complaints of hate crimes targeting Jews in New York City under his watch have gone up 52%, he now says, oops, I'm sorry, I need to apologize. Now, let me just tell you what was happening. He singles out an entire religious group because of a funeral. Now, a rabbi died, and they had to have a funeral. Well, you can't gather for a funeral. I mean, I think this is the same kind of crap that Jews have been dealing with for thousands of years. This is nothing new. This is what the National Socialists did in Europe in the 1930s. This is what Stalin did, the International Socialist. You imagine the firestorm had Donald Trump said, hey, listen, this message to the Jewish community, and all others. If he would have said, oh, by the way, this message to the Chinese community, imagine the firestorm. But somehow or another, in New York City, we're not talking Alaska, in New York City, it's okay. Even Jerry Nadler has responded to this. He said, while we all have a responsibility to observe social distancing and do our part as we face COVID-19 pandemic together, the mayor's singling out and stereotyping of a community and threatening response is unacceptable. We have to do better for ourselves in the city. Oh, okay. Well, so what was this whole thing about? Well, it was about a rabbi's funeral. Well, here's the problem. From the New York Police Department news. And you gotta love the fact that the police department hate de Blasio as much as de Blasio apparently hates the police and Jews. Can you imagine being a Jewish policeman under de Blasio? His head would explode. The New York City Police Department tweeted 2 hours before it started, NYPD brought trucks with barriers, tower lights to close off Bedford Avenue and the surrounding area. It's the New York City Mayor's Department who originally approved it before deciding to take it back. So the Jewish community had done everything they were supposed to do. And then he's yelling at them for not doing what they're supposed to do. They did it. The police were there. They were barricading the streets. They did absolutely everything they were supposed to do. Now de Blasio has apologized. Listen to this apology. Do we have the audio of it?
I regret if the way I said it in any way gave people a feeling of being treated the wrong way. That was not my intention. It was said with love, but it was tough love.
It was tough love. So is that the same kind of tough love that that people in the Bronx or Brooklyn, they were at Prospect Park, they were giving him a hassle because he and his wife drove to Brooklyn just to take a stroll, and he was out in the park, and people in Brooklyn were like, you have your own park at the mayor's mansion. You've got a park. You want to take a stroll? Take it there. What are you doing? Coming over from Manhattan, crossing the river, coming into our park. So they're yelling at him, and he says, come on, guys, give it a break. Oh, give it a break. So he's been chauffeured over to Brooklyn so he could take a walk in the park with his wife, and then he yells at people who are yelling at him. but Jews who went through the proper channels had his office approve the funeral, the NYPD approve it, and then set up barricades. He gets angry. Okay. Hey, how angry are you, de Blasio, at the Muslim community? Because all over New York, the Muslim community, I mean, where is that? And I know this is out of his purview, but where is the New York mosque that's been allowed to just, zip tape everything off so they have, plastic on the floor and everything else? Nobody else has been given this special privilege. I know that, prayer calls are going out during Ramadan. I know that you can go to the mosque in many cases in New York City, that they haven't had any problems with the mayor at all. Well, why is that? Because, why is that? All religions, they're all protected. But why is it one religion seems to be always in trouble? And I'm not talking about the Christians. I'm talking about the Jews. I told you this early on. You should never be surprised at the depravity of those who preach real socialism. People who know what socialism is. Not the people who are just like, oh, I like this utopia. We should try it. It will work. I mean the people who have been to Venezuela, been to Cuba, been to Russia. They know what it is, and they still hold it up. Those people never be surprised to the levels of depravity and anti-human activity that they will endorse in the end. He is an elitist. He is a socialist. He is anti-American. I'm not saying that he is not an American. He just hates America. He hates our system. He always has. He loves the Marxist philosophy. He always has. And for some strange reason, and I could explain it to you biblically and theologically, but beyond that, I can't. The leadership always seems to embrace this evil of wiping out the Jews. So when I see a bunch of Jews on the street, yeah, of course I was angry. Now, he didn't say that, but I don't know. His patterns seem to indicate that he doesn't have a good relationship with Jews.